the solid line, basically movement of the lips. You don't believe me, hold the tongue and work your mouth, try to say something intelligent. You can't. Okay. You have to be able to move the tongue and mouth first and foremost. Okay, false vocal cords or vestibular folds are more superior to the vocal folds or true vocal cords. And you can see they're not involved in sound production, but they come together, they aid in breath holding. They also help to keep substances out of the trachea. So on the lab test, I asked you 3 structures, okay, that can help to keep things from going down and blocking the respiratory tract. I asked you 2 and 3. What are they?
Epiglottis.
Epiglottis, an obvious
Uvula.
one. The uvula, which keeps food going up your nose, and the third one, less obvious, is vestibular folds. Any 2 of those 3, except a glottis was not, because a glottis is just an opening. Okay? Maybe something basically blocked. Okay, notice too, as far as the epithelium, the costal larynx superior to the true vocal cords is lined with the non-keratinized stratified squamous, like we see in the oral cavity, oropharynx and ringopharynx. And below that, inferior to it, then we revert back into the pseudostratified cerebrocolumnar inferior to the true vocal cords. That persists in the trachea and pretty much in the bronchi as well. So larynx itself, of course, since it lies between perizeal tuber pharynx and the trachea, it of course helps to keep foreign objects from going down into the trachea. It also aids in sound production, as the true vocal cords or vocal folds, and also aids in filtering. Trachea then, of course, attached to the larynx. Again, it's lined with the same type of thing we saw before, the pseudostratified subepithelial epithelium. Again, they're mucocilium secreting goblet cells in the epithelium. And trachea then also filters and moistens the air as before. It is supported by a C-shaped piece of cartilage. And in between the open ends of the C-shaped piece of cartilage, you have muscle called the trachealis muscle. And this basically, when it contracts, it reduces the diameter of the trachea, or I should say the lumen of the trachea where the air passes. So what this does basically is give you more forceful expulsion of air when you're coughing. And usually you're coughing basically to stop something or some irritant that was passed down the respiratory tract. So with a narrower cavity, the lumen in the trachea, by contraction of that trachealis muscle, you get more forceful discharge of air. This, of course, branches into the bronchi, primary bronchi, which branches to secondary, secondary to tertiary, and so on, and eventually into bronchioles. So right and left primary bronchi, bronchus is singular. Right primary bronchus, notice, is you're more likely to have something going down the right side. Several reasons. One is the right primary bronchus is shorter than the left, it's wider, and it's more vertically oriented. So as a result, inhale objects much more likely to go into the right side and into the left as a result of it. The vertical, wider, and shorter primary bronchus forces down the left bronchus. Also again, same type of thing we saw in the lower part of the larynx and in the trachea. Pseudostratified ciliated column. Again, you can do secondary bronchi then, these branch off the primary again, since the right lobe, the right lung has 3 lobes instead of 2. We have 3 of these, secondary, or lobar bronchi on the right, and only 2 on the left. They subdivide into the segmental or tertiary bronchi, which supply the segments of the lungs, and they further subdivide into smaller and smaller tertiary bronchi. Or sometimes they go 23 orders of range. So you'll see tertiary bronchi in various sizes. They're not all the same size. You may notice that when you're looking at slides of the lung. I said don't rely on the size. What do you look for? It's respiratory
Cartilage,
passage. How can you tell if it's a
highly
tertiary
cartilage.
bronchus?
Highly
It's got
cartilage.
in the wall. Once the cartilage disappears, you're in a bronchiole. Okay, so these colors support cartilage. Eventually, the smaller tertiary bronchiole branch out then would be the bronchioles. So the bronchioles themselves are usually about 1 millimeter less in diameter. And no cartilage. They in turn divide into smaller bronchioles called internal bronchioles, which are usually about 1/2 millimeter in diameter less. And this will be the end again of the conduction zone, and from there, coming off at about the same size as the respiratory bronchioles, coming off the terminal bronchioles. This is the beginning of the respiratory zone. And then from there, the alveolar ducts, which end in this cluster of alveoli called the alveolar sacs. Like I say, think of the alveolar sacs like a bunch of grapes. The bunch being the alveolar sac, and the individual alveoli like grapes in a bunch. As we descend through the respiratory passages, going from larger to smaller, we see some changes occurring. First off, the amount of cartilage decreases as we go from larger respiratory passageways to smaller ones. From the larynx to the trachea to the primary, secondary, and tertiary bronchi. We see cartilage in all the walls, but the amount of cartilage diminishes with the diameter of the respiratory passage. So, less cartilage. Again, as I said, by the time you get to the bronchioles, the cartilage has disappeared. Again, we got elastic fibers occurring in the walls of both the bronchi and the bronchioles. Another thing you're going to see is the amount of smooth muscle in the wall increases with a decrease in diameter of the respiratory passage. So, a decreased amount of cartilage as we go from larger to smaller respiratory passageway, and an overall increase in the amount of smooth muscle. Which means the dilation and constriction occurs primarily in the smaller respiratory passageways. Bronchoconstriction when that smooth muscle contracts, and bronchodilation when it relaxes. The third thing that we see occurring is at the epithelium. The epithelium thins. We start out with a pseudostratified cellular epithelium. This changes then to eventually the simple cuboidal, where we see the terminal bronchioles, and then in simple squamous and respiratory bronchioles and beyond. You'll see the respiratory bronchioles, you'll see some simple cuboidal, as we have that dark green nuclei, and when it appears like the wall's disrupted, that's simple squamous. Coming off the respiratory bronchiole, you've got the alveoli, which are simple squamous. The alveolar ducts are primarily simple squamous, and of course the alveolar sacs and alveoli themselves simple squamous. So we're going from pseudostratified cellular epithelium to eventually simple cuboidal, terminal bronchioles, and simple squamous respiratory bronchioles. Any questions? Increase the amount of cartilage, increase the amount of smooth muscle, and thinning of the epithelium as we go from larger to smaller. Okay, the alveoli themselves, this is where gas exchange occurs. Again, it starts with the respiratory bronchioles. That's where we first see alveoli coming off the walls. And in a normal adult lung, healthy lung, you have something over 300 million alveoli in your lungs. And of course, this greatly increases the surface area for gas exchange. If you just had 2 sacs and 2 pipes going in your primary bronchi, you wouldn't have very much surface area for gas exchange. If you spread this out, you have something over 70 square meters of surface area, about 750 square feet. About the size of a tennis court. It's astounding considering it's rather compact in the lungs. Tremendous surface area for gas exchange, very important. If you're a smoker, what you do is you basically probably end up with emphysema. What happens in emphysema is the walls break down between the alveoli. So with it, you get a loss of surface area for gas exchange. And as a result, you don't effectively aerate the blood. That's why a lot of people with emphysema, of course, are carrying around a portable oxygen generator or oxygen tank. Okay? And they take it out and put the cigarette. But if you're a smoker, it's something you look forward to. I've definitely developed chronic bronchitis. I probably eventually emphysema as well. Really lucky lung cancer. So regardless of what the tobacco companies will tell you, smoking does cause cancer. But in the meantime, you can wreak havoc with your lungs and make you, of course, more prone to respiratory diseases. And because you're also affecting the oxygen carrier capacity and restricting the arterioles, it's caffeine basically reducing the oxygen to the lungs. And as a result, over a period of time, you also damage other organs, heart, and others. So there's nothing good to be said about smoking. It's the immediate high you get, right? But in the long term, you're going to pay for the damage that it causes. Okay, to get a simple squamous, inelastic basement membrane, so there's very little tissue that the oxygen has to cross, or the gas has to cross to get from blood to alveoli, and vice versa. And again, the alveoli are surrounded by a dense network of capillaries, called alveolar capillaries or pulmonary capillaries. So this is where the gas exchange occurs. Capillary walls again, remember, simple squamous epithelium, that's the epithelium, and loose connective tissue, basement membrane. So there's not a lot of tissue the gas has to pass to get from blood to alveoli and vice versa. Now there are two types of alveolar cells that we see. Type 1 is the simple squamous epithelium that makes up the wall. Type 2 alveolar cells. Type 1. Type 2 alveolar cells secrete a surfactant. Surfactant basically helps to keep the walls, the alveoli, from sticking together. Remember, they have to be kept moist. If they dry out, you don't have gas exchange occurring. That's why the air is humidified as it passes through the respiratory system, the conduction zone. So you keep, basically, have a wet membrane for gas exchange. If they dry out, like I say, there is no gas exchange. So these type 2 alveolar cells are stand among the type 1 alveolar cells. They secrete an alveolar fluid that basically is a surfactant to keep those membranes or walls from collapsing, because they're very small. And sometimes babies, premature babies, have trouble breathing or on the respirator for a while because their lungs may not be well developed, they don't produce enough surfactant, and as a result, they can have collapse of those alveoli. They're not getting effective aeration of the air as well. The eighth point of the moist respiratory membranes, as you know, some animals respire through their skin, like amphibians. And most amphibians have a moist skin as a result. If that skin dries up, even though they have lungs like frogs, for example, they'll suffocate. Okay? So as a kid, you may have collected frogs, and you put them in a little jar, and you forget to keep them overnight, and what happens is, in the morning, they're like this. They literally suffocate because that skin dries out, and they don't get enough gas exchange. They're partially dependent on that moist skin. They have to keep that skin moist. Anyway, that surfactant is produced by the type 2 alveolar cells. The point is to keep those respiratory membranes from sticking together because they have to be kept wet. So things get wet when they do. They stick together. Especially when they're close together. Also notice that there are basically pores between the alveoli, the adjacent alveoli. And this allows for utilization of pressure between the alveoli and throughout the lung, and also an alternate route should you have some blockage that you can get from alveolus to alveolus. Another type of cell that we find in the alveoli that moves around, because there is one, are the alveolar macrophages, sometimes called dust cells. And like typical macrophages, okay, they move about and they're phagocytic. And what they do is ingest and digest foreign matter, particularly dust and inhaled debris that comes in. And that dust often carries with it microorganisms. These are good, basically, to really clean up all the stuff that you inhale. Any questions? Okay, mechanics of breathing. We've talked about this already in lab, so again, a lot of this will be a review as well. And remember, we have respiratory muscles that are involved in breathing. We're able to breathe by changing the air pressure in our lungs. When we lower the air pressure below that of the ambient air, the air around the body, we're able to inhale. When we increase the air pressure in the lungs above that of the ambient air, we exhale. We're able to do this by changing the volume of the lungs, which we're able to do by contraction and relaxation of respiratory muscles. Here we got two sets of muscles. We got the expiratory muscles and the expiratory. So inspiratory and expiratory. The inspiratory muscles are the diaphragm, which makes up the floor of the thoracic cavity and separates the thoracic cavity from abdominal pelvic cavity inferior to it, and the external intercostal muscles, which lie between the ribs. And these muscles, when they contract, are involved in inhalation or inspiration, which is why they're called the inspiratory muscles. The expiratory muscles are involved, but to a lesser extent, and they're usually seen, or usually play a role when you have forced exhalation or expiration. And these are the abdominal wall muscles and the internal intercostal muscles, which are another set deep to the superior or the external intercostal muscles between the ribs. The lungs themselves, as you know, are confined to the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity itself. The diaphragm, of course, makes up the floor of the thoracic cavity, and then the ribs and the soft tissue between make up the sides and top of the cavity. And remember, too, the lungs are covered and the thoracic cavity lined with the pleural membranes. The pleural membrane is a serous membrane. Serous membranes are a double layer. You have an outer layer which lines a cavity wall, and they have an inner layer which lines an organs within that cavity. We've already seen it with the pericardium around the heart. When we have a parietal pericardium that lined the fibrous pericardium. We had a visceral pericardium that covered the surface of the heart and was considered actually part of the heart wall, called the epicardium. They secreted fluid. Same thing here. Here we got the pleural membranes. The parietal floor, of course, lines the pleural the thoracic cavity, including, you can see, the superior side of the diaphragm. And the visceral pleural covers the surface of the lungs, external surface of the lungs. The space between is called the pleural cavity, and it's filled with fluid, pleural fluid, which is secreted by both the parietal and visceral cavity. That acts as a lubricant. So when you're breathing, of course, the movement of those membranes is friction. Just like in anything where you got moving parts, you need a lubricant. And the pressure within the pleural cavity is called the intrapleural cavity. Intra means within. And normally it is slightly less than the intrapulmonary or intraalveolar pressure, which is a pressure basically inside the alveoli, and also it's usually less than the atmospheric pressure. So that intrapleural pressure less than either the pressure inside the air cavities, or air sacs rather, and also the atmospheric pressure. Pleurisy is a condition where you have inflammation of the pleural, and it's usually because you're not producing enough pleural fluid. The result is, of course, when they work across one another with normal breathing, this causes pain. And it's very obvious. If you ever had it, you remember it was like you're being stabbed. It's very sharp shooting pains as a result of this. When you get overproduction of pleural fluid, then this can put pressure on the lungs and make it more difficult for breathing.
What would cause you to not have enough fluid?
Sometimes stress. Sometimes stress can do it. You're worked up over something, okay? Maybe some course, this one course, maybe some more intensive college course, or maybe a job, a new job or something like this, or pressures of the job, okay? You've been in this assignment, you want to make sure everything to do, and evaluation of your talent when you do it. So sometimes you can actually end up with worse as a result. pneumothorax, this is when you get air in the pleural cavity. And remember, as I said, that intrapleural pressure, that pressure in the cavity, is usually less than the atmospheric pressure. So, if you have basically a wound in the chest that penetrates the chest wall, air will rush in to equalize the pressure, because the atmospheric pressure is higher than the intrapleural pressure. The result is, of course, it squeezes the lungs and can actually collapse the lung. So it happens with the chest wound, the lung will collapse. Of course, they're in different pleural cavities. If you get like a stab, a bullet wound, or puncture as a result of maybe some accident, the result can be a collapse of the lung. Because you get air in that pleural cavity. That pressure then squeezes the lungs and can actually cause it to collapse. The first aid, of course, is to prepare the patch, put a tube in basically, and suck out the excess air. And then the lung will usually re-inflate as a result. Okay, so insulate or inspiration or inhalation we talked about in the lab. This is when the diaphragm contracts and the external intercostal muscles contract. So normal breathing, inhalation involves contraction of the inspiratory muscles. Diaphragm contracts move slightly down into the abdominal pelvic cavity. The external intercostal muscles pull the rib cage up and out. The net effect, of course, is to increase the volume of the thoracic cavity, and since the lungs basically adhere to the walls of the thoracic cavity by means of pleural membranes, it increases the volume of the lungs. The result, of course, is to lower the air pressure. As the lungs expand, the air pressure then decreases. It's because the pressure of the gas varies inversely with its volume, assuming that the temperature is constant. This is so-called Blain's law. The temperature would be relatively constant. So constant temperature, as you increase the volume of the tank, in this case the lungs, you can decrease the air pressure. As a result, now the air pressure is less than the ambient air, the air around the body, so the air rushes in. So actually you're inflating the lungs, okay, and the air rushes in to equalize the pressure. So it seems like we're blowing up our lungs by drawing air in. But in fact, we've actually inflated the lungs first, and the air comes in passively as a result of the low pressure. Expiration or exhalation then, usually normal restful breathing simply involves relaxation of the inspiratory muscles. Diaphragm relaxes, it moves back up the abdominal pelvic cavity of the thoracic. At the same time, the external intercostal muscles relax, allows the rib cage to move down to the end. This squeezes the lungs. Its pressure decreases the size. The thoracic cavity is now decreasing in size. That decreases the volume. The result is the pressure goes up. Now the pressure is higher than it is outside the volume, so air rushes out. So normal restful breathing. Contraction of the inspiratory muscles brings about inhalation or inspiration, and relaxation of those muscles brings about exhalation or expiration. And with forceful breathing, that's when the expiratory muscles come into play. So with strenuous exercise and excitement, you want to move that air in and out faster. Now the expiratory muscles contract, the abdominal wall muscles. This include the transverse abdominis, the external obliques, the internal obliques. What this does is put pressure on the abdominal pelvic organs, and they push up against the diaphragm and help to shove that diaphragm up as it's relaxing. So it's a more forceful movement. At the same time, the internal intercostal muscles contract. They pull that rib cage forcefully down and in, as the external intercostal muscles are relaxing. You get a more forceful and basically movement of the diaphragm and also the rib cage. This squeezes the lungs, increase that pressure faster, and you can exhale faster and draw that air in and out much faster. So with exercise, when you're excited, or forceful breathing,